Hello everyone, sorry for the delay in the video. Due to time management issues, editing takes a lot of time. So I've decided that from now on, I will upload only the audio to complete the novel faster. In the previous chapter, Chu Qingcheng found comfort in Zhuo Fan's embrace, feeling safe and loved. He reassured her that no one would ever control her fate again, promising to protect her no matter what. Now, let's begin the chapter. Shit! Fiend Yang suddenly cried out, his voice ringing with dramatic exaggeration. Their lovey-dovey display is so blinding, it makes my 24-carat eyes feel pale. He theatrically clutched at his eyes, as if in genuine pain. The others chuckled, exchanging queer smiles amongst themselves, glancing at the lovely couple. Zhuo Fan simply shrugged at Chu Qingcheng, a hint of amusement in his eyes. Looks like we need to shake off these blind fools, he said, his voice low, or they'll ruin our good mood. Chu Qingcheng giggled softly, a sweet sound that contrasted with the earlier tension. Suddenly, a shout pierced the air, and a familiar figure burst into view, leading tens of thousands of worn-out soldiers. It was Luo Yunhai, his face alight with joy. "Brother Zhuo!" he exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. "Did we win?" Gu Santong puffed out his chest, his small frame radiating an almost comical level of pride. "Of course we won," he boasted, his voice ringing with childish arrogance. "When I go into action, nothing can stop me. The only one to blame is my dad for letting me out so late. If he'd unleashed me sooner, I'd have wasted them all long ago." "Oh, so you did it," someone thought, a cold sweat breaking out on their brow as they looked at Gu Santong's oblivious pride. No wonder so many died in this fight, with thousands of experts from my clan among them as well. Luo Yunhai watched Gu Santong's puffed-up face, a nervous smile plastered on his own. "Young Sanzi truly is amazing," he said, his voice strained. "But maybe, just maybe, could you give us a signal next time you decide to fight?" he asked tentatively. "Eh?" Gu Santong was startled, his boastful expression faltering slightly. The others around him just shook their heads, exchanging knowing glances. This kid is completely ignorant of his own raw power, they thought. "Give us a signal? More like, give us a signal to run for cover." But seeing Gu Santong's utter obliviousness, Luo Yunhai wisely decided not to explain further, lest he trigger the little ball of rage's temper. "Big brother Zhuo," Luo Yunhai turned his attention back to Zhuo Fan, his joyful demeanor returning. "Although we didn't even need to attack the treasury, since it basically fell with young Sanzi's move, and we didn't get a chance to use any of the resources ourselves, we did manage to grab some spoils of war. We even got to rob it a little." The hearts of the demon scheming sect members twitched with sudden, intense interest. The mystical heaven sect has been around for millennia, they thought, their eyes widening. Their treasury must be unbelievably loaded. They had been so caught up in the joy of victory that they had completely forgotten something so fundamentally important. How stupid of us. Fiend Yang, ever quick on the uptake when it came to profit, was the first to jump in. "Oh, clan head of the secular world," he began, his voice suddenly oily with false camaraderie. "We're all allies here, aren't we? We should settle the accounts. Since we did so much hard work ourselves, we should definitely get the biggest share." "Ha ha ha, relax, relax." Luo Yunhai waved his hands dismissively, as if the entire matter was trivial. "We only came to help, brother. Zhuo, all of it, everything we found, will be yours." Fiend Yang raised a suspicious eyebrow, but nodded slowly. "This kid is surprisingly upright and good," he thought, a flicker of genuine surprise crossing his face. "What kind of ally doesn't even want to be paid after being asked for help?" The other elders were also exchanging admiring glances, impressed by Luo Yunhai's seeming generosity. Zhuo Fan, however, the man who would fight tooth and nail for every single spirit stone, shook his head slightly. "Yunhai," he said, his voice firm, "I'll make it up to the Luo clan for their help. We will compensate you properly." Brother Zhuo, we're all family, Luo Yunhai protested, waving his hand again. What do you mean, make it up to us? It's nothing. He then glanced meaningfully at Chu Ching Cheng, a subtle shift in his expression. Brother Zhuo, we did find something in the treasury that you might want to see. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What is it? Luo Yunhai nodded to Chu Yanhai, who stepped forward and presented a simple ring. Zhuo Fan took the ring, his fingers brushing against Chu Yanhai's. He examined it briefly, then emptied its contents into his palm. 3 jade slips lay there. Zhuo Fan picked up the first one, his eyes scanning the characters etched into its surface. He froze, stunned. Heavenly Cycle Dragon Array? He whispered, his voice barely audible. Yes, Luo Yunhai confirmed, his voice hushed. It's the one the Heavenly Cycle Elders used. Keep reading. With a growing sense of unease, Zhuo Fan picked up the second jade slip. He looked at it with doubt clouding his features. 4-element cycle array, he murmured. Yes. Qiu Yanhai spoke carefully, his eyes fixed on Zhuo Fan's face. The array from which the Heavenly Cycle Dragon Array was developed. He paused, then added, Steward Zhuo, please, check the last one. Zhuo Fan gave both Luo Yunhai and Chu Yanhai a long, searching look. Then, with a deep breath, he scanned the third jade slip. Only this time his eyes didn't just widen in surprise or doubt. They exploded with raw, untamed bloodlust. The crowd around him looked puzzled, a ripple of unease spreading through them as they witnessed Zhuo Fan's sudden, terrifying transformation. Not far away, sect leader Xuan, still recovering from the battle, held his injured son, Zhuan Xiaoyu, propped up in his arms. He fed him a recovery pill, his eyes flashing with a dark, possessive resolve. Xiaoyu, don't worry, he muttered, his voice thick with emotion. I'll surely get Chu, Qingcheng back. She will be yours. Whoosh! He didn't even finish his sentence. A black figure materialized before him like a phantom, moving with impossible speed, and then a devastating punch landed. Rumble sect leader Xuan and Xuan Xiaoyu had absolutely no time to react. The force of the blow was catastrophic. Xuan Xiaoyu was instantly reduced to a gruesome splatter of pieces and blood, his life extinguished in an instant, his remains raining down on the rubble around them. Blood and gore dripped from sect leader Xuan's stunned face. He stared blankly, unable to comprehend what had just happened, his mind struggling to catch up with the horrific reality. He looked up, his gaze locking onto the hard, cold, utterly merciless face of Zhuo Fan. Sect leader Xuan choked out, his eyes welling with tears, his voice thick with an unbearable mix of emotions, unable to form a coherent sentence. Zhuo Fan gave him an icy, devoid of emotion look. Sect leader Xuan, he said, his voice like shards of ice. Thank you for your help with Ninger. By letting the mystical heaven sect go, all accounts are now settled. Then Zhuo Fan turned his back, a dead, emotionless mask settling over his features. He walked back towards Chu Ching Cheng and the others, leaving sect leader Xuan kneeling amidst the gore, his white hair a disheveled mess, his eyes hollow and lost. He didn't understand. He didn't know why Zhuo Fan had thanked him for saving the girl, nor why, immediately after, he had returned to brutally murder his only son. Seeing the blood and the horrific remains of his child scattered around him, sect leader Xuan finally crumbled. He fell to his knees and howled, a sound of pure, unadulterated pain and sorrow tearing from his throat. Zhuo Fan was back amongst his own people, who were all buzzing with curiosity, whispering amongst themselves, trying to understand why Zhuo Fan had first spared Xuan Xiaoyu, only to return and kill him so brutally moments later. Only Luo Yunhai and his men truly knew. Yunhai, destroy it, Zhuo Fan commanded, his voice low and hard. I don't want anyone else to ever see it. Luo Yunhai nodded solemnly, understanding. The gravity in Zhuofan's tone, letting out a long, shaky breath, a relieved chuckle escaping his lips, Zhuofan finally turned to Chu Qingcheng. He reached out, gently took her waist, and they began to walk away together. Chu Qingcheng looked at Luo Yunhai curiously, her eyes questioning. "What was that?" she asked softly. "Nothing of importance," Zhuofan replied, shaking his head dismissively, his gaze softening as he looked at her. "Qingcheng," he began, his voice gaining a new intensity. "You have your own principles, principles that I will always protect. I will carry all the sins and crimes, all the darkness, for you." He paused, his jaw clenching, his voice hardening again. "But," he gnashed his teeth, his eyes burning with fierce protectiveness, "if you are ever in danger, no matter what principle, no matter what path, I will cross them all. I will break everything." Chu Qingcheng looked at him for a long moment, her gaze deep and searching. Then a gentle smile touched her lips, and she leaned her head on his shoulder, a quiet happiness radiating from her. "I don't want you to give up everything for me," she thought silently, her heart filled with love and a touch of worry. "I only want to help you achieve your ambition, to walk beside you, not be the reason you falter." Seeing them walk away, the others turned to Luo Yunhai, their curiosity now burning. Fiend Yang was grinning from ear to ear, his initial shock replaced by an insatiable thirst for knowledge. Luo clan head," he began, his voice oozing with false casualness. "What exactly was that all about?" "Nothing you should know about," Luo Yunhai replied, his tone suddenly hard and dismissive, brooking no argument. "Brother Zhuo wants this destroyed, so no one can ever see it, or the ending of mystical heaven sect's young master." He trailed off, letting the unspoken threat hang in the air. Ugh! A collective shudder ran through the demon-scheming sect elders. They coughed awkwardly, their faces paling slightly as they looked back towards Zhuofan's retreating figure. If it was so dangerous, then perhaps their curiosity could wait. It was definitely much better to remain alive. Once everyone else had dispersed, Luo Yunhai looked down at the third jade slip in his hand. He let out a long, weary breath and shook his head slowly. "Empty spirit body," he murmured, his voice filled with a mix of awe and pity. "The desire of every cultivator, they say it can even help gods, but look at the disaster it brought." "But one thing is certain," Chu Yanhai said, his voice thoughtful. "The heavenly cycle elders sure were geniuses to come up with such an array." Nodding in agreement, Luo Yunhai sighed. "From the heavenly cycle dragon array to the four-element cycle array, and then to come up with ha ha ha." He let out a dry chuckle. "I bet it was specifically made to fit the young sect leader like a glove." "Yeah," Chu Yanhai agreed, his eyes gleaming with understanding. "Why else would Brother Zhuo so drastically go back on his word and kill the one he just spared?" As long as that boy was alive, the mystical heaven sect would never truly let go of Sister Qingcheng. She'd always be seen as the best cauldron. But even so, Chu Yanhai continued, his eyes narrowing slightly, there may be others, coming later, who would also want her. Those with even greater power. Luo Yunhai nodded, his expression grim. "That's exactly why Brother Zhuo wanted it destroyed. This is an array to exchange a life for a life, a truly terrifying thing." Chu Yanhai gave a heavy nod, then held the three jade slips in his hand. He focused his power, channeling hot energy into them. "If you just crush them," he said, his voice low, "someone dead set on recovering this might still be able to find traces, to piece them back together. Allow me to completely destroy them." Just as he was about to unleash his full power, a beautiful figure appeared, suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere. "Wait," she said, her voice clear and calm, cutting through the tension. "Sister Qingcheng," Luo Yunhai exclaimed, startled. "Miss Qingcheng, Luo Yunhai echoed, equally surprised. Both men looked at her, shocked. What are you doing here?